So unfortunately, FERPA does protect the student to withhold any information regarding their enrollment here at the university that they choose to. But, you know, by different items, they can give you authorization to receive that information. FERPA's like the IRS. You know, call them and you'll get in a loop and you'll never get an answer. Because it is what it is.
That's how I was going to say. I mean, my grades weren't mailed at home, but I showed my parents. So their grades aren't mailed at home either.
You know, for grades, no, we're not mailing any grades at all anymore.
No. You'll have to ask your student for that information.
And unfortunately, I don't know.
Is that online now?
Grades are not. The only thing that's currently online that parents can view is the student account and financial aid information. Unfortunately, grades are something you still have to work with your student to get access to. They do. They receive it. So they have the ability, as Marianne, I probably don't mean to jump in on you here, Marianne, but Web Advisor is the tool that we use to deliver all this information to you. The students have many things that they can do under Web Advisor, and the parents have just a few. One of them's paying the bill, though. We do appreciate that.
Very much so.
I know this is unrelated to financial aid, but do they get progress reports here?
Yeah, I'm hesitant to answer that question. I would present that to someone on the academic side only because I don't want to give information that's not
Is
accurate.
that admissions?
Say it again?
Would that be admissions?
No, admissions, they're more of the, you know, getting in phase. No, you want to talk to someone in academics. Advising. Sorry, continue, Mary.
Sure. All this fun stuff, applying for financial aid, like I said earlier, you got to do it again next year. Your award, sorry, but your award is only good for one academic year at a time. So, come January 1st, you have to fill out the 2014-15 FAFSA and the 2014-15 profile and submit income information based on 2013 to IDOC and possibly go through the federal verification process. The point is, you must reapply. Please do so as soon as possible, January 1 or later. Those forms aren't going to be available until after January 1st. And your student will have an application deadline of April 15th next year, whereas it was in March this year. Also, when we were talking about FERPA and any kind of communication with your student, it reminded me that we do a lot of email correspondence with students, but the email goes to your student. And we'll send your student reminders about filing for financial aid or that we need information, but it's going to your student. So it might be a good idea for you to periodically say, hey, have you been checking your email? Have you been checking your Loyola email account? Because it's going to go to their Loyola email address. And all too often I hear from a parent, we didn't know. You know, he's a sophomore next year. We didn't know we had to do that. Well, yeah, we sent him 5 emails. So you want to just be aware that there's a lot of email communication going back and forth. That's our primary method of communicating with students. And the email doesn't necessarily go to the parent. On occasion, we'll send emails to the parent. But for the most part, it's really going to the student. So you're going to need your student to share that information with you. All right? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the funny man, Mike Mansfield, student account.
Funny looking, maybe.
Well, that too. There you go.
Thank you, Marianne. And I also just want to thank you. I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I always say I learn something new every year. And I appreciate that 6-year thing on the Stafford loan.
Oh, that's brand new this year.
I never knew on my dad. My dad used to get so mad at me in my 7th year in school. I swear to God. No, I'm not joking. Why they're building so much more. And now I understand why. You're saying that's new?
That's new.
I guess I had no excuse for that then. And for any of you that don't think your son or daughter can be that person in the 7th year, call my dad.
Yeah.
He thought I was in med school. He thought it was my residency. Christmas time, in my 7th year, he's like, so what round are you doing this year? All right, let's get serious. I want to make you laugh because, again, I'm going to show you the student bill here in a second. So we're going to go through all of the emotions here in our presentation. But thank you, Marianne. Again, my name is Mike Mansfield, Director of Student Administrative Services here at the university. And as you see, We use this kind of one-stop shopping. That's one-stop shopping for all financial matters here at the university. So anything that has to do with money, other than the financial aid kind of application and awarding process, is going to come to our office. So again, the two major things that we handle is the tuition billing and the one card, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We're going to talk about the use of the one card and the meal plan and some of the new changes that are on board with us for this year. Again, our hours, we're located in the building right across the quad here. We're connected to the Summer School of Business and Management. We're on the first floor, Maryland Hall, room 140. And we have a standard Monday through Friday, 7 to 5. And there's our URL for our website. All right. Before we get into the tuition billing and the one cards, I want to just talk about some of the other things that our office does that'll be specific to your students. We handle the parking registration here on campus, and this is always kind of one of the things I like to throw at you and then pull right back. Because as you know, hopefully you know, this freshmen can't have cars on campus. And we do that for a very specific reason. We want them to be here as opposed to Fells Point, more than that. So we don't want to give them the ability to get there very easily. But that being said, if anybody does have a work or a school-related need as a freshman, we have a freshman, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, came in. He was already working for the DOD down in D.C., and obviously he was going to continue that. It was part of his employment. We're certainly never going to tell a freshman, oh, you can't bring a car on campus. That's going to help support that. We just have those special requests that come directly to me, and we hear and we honor those as they come in. But as they become upperclassmen, and we consider anybody sophomore, junior, senior, an upperclassman, they can bring their car on campus. So next year in April, you're probably going to get that, hey mom, can I bring my car? And you guys have to make that decision. There is a cost, $375 a year to keep your car on campus. And we have a registration process that starts in April and runs through the summer. And then we do all the stickers and everything in the middle of the summer. So they have them when they come back in the fall. We put emergency loans up here. This is something that is every year becomes less and less popular. I don't even think we gave out 25 of them last year. But we have a small fund of money that we control, and students, some reason they lose their wallet or they just need a little bit of extra cash. This used to be very popular back when we first got here around March for spring break. And it always was kind of comical how many students needed $100 to get a bus ticket down to Daytona Beach. But we do that. So every once in a while, you may see a charge on your bill for what's called a McCroson loan. And that's the name of the fund of money that we have. We allow any full-time undergraduate student whose tuition bill is current to get one. They can get up to $100, interest-free. There's no interest or anything involved for 30 days, and then they pay us directly back. If they don't pay us back, guess who does? Yes, and that's where you would see it on your tuition bill. So we're only going to let it go 30 days. If they don't pay us back, we'll reach out to them a couple times to say, hey, you have this loan, what's going on? And those are like the financial aid emails that never get read. But eventually it'll find its way to your tuition account. The one thing that we will do was the old saying, really one, shame on me, for me twice, shame on me. We don't even let it get to twice. One time, that's it, they can never get another loan. So if they ever default and don't pay it back, they can never get another one. I put ATM machines up here. That's always a popular question for parents and students. We have 4 different banks that have ATM machines on campus. The 2 most popular are probably Bank of America, which is located right here in our college center. We also have M&T, which is located down at the entrance of Boulder. We have SunTrust Bank, which is in Newman Towers, which if you've been on any of the tours yet, that's where Iggy's is. It's right there at the entrance of Iggy's. And then we do have a local Maryland Federal Credit Union. I can't remember the name. I apologize. It is actually Maryland Federal Credit Union. But they're on our campus as well. So there's 4 different banks. And again, the ATM is just like you're at your house. I mean, if you have PNC or if you have somebody else, you can still use it. You just have to be aware that there might be foreign ATM charges that are applicable. So you just want to keep that in mind. A lot of parents want to know what banks are on campus so they can set their students up so they don't have to pay those fees if they want to withdraw money. All right, so I'm going to skip this payment of bills and go to the refund plan first before we get into the bills. We partner with a company named Dewar, AWG Dewar Incorporated, and you will be getting some literature for them around the first week of July. Very typical. Most higher ed schools, especially privates and even some secondary schools, offer a tuition refund plan. So this refund plan allows for you to get money refunded to you that is forfeited to the university in the event of an illness or for having to leave school for a couple other different types of reasons. So again, this is a completely voluntary plan. It costs about $380 a year, but basically you're insuring close to $55,000 worth of tuition. So we typically have about 120 families that will take advantage of this a year. The university is always going to do the refund first. So again, when students leave school for whatever reason, depending on the timing, there might be prorated portions of tuition, housing, and fees that are returned to you. Again, once we get about 5 weeks into school, there's no more tuition refund. So that's where this plan is a good idea. The nice thing about it too is they don't hold pre-existing illnesses against the student or family. So I know we've had students who have come in and been being treated for certain forms of cancer, and it's a risk. They may not know if they can make it through a semester or a year. And they'll buy the insurance plan, and again, based on what we refund, they'll refund the difference. Again, based on the reason for the illness. So it's a good plan, completely voluntary, and you'll get information. You sign up directly with DOAR, pay them. You'll never see anything on your tuition bill about this. It's simply something that you would contact DOAR about to enroll. The only thing I always warn everyone is you have to be enrolled by the first day of classes. And that's clearly outlined on the literature that you'll get from them. So you just have to keep in mind, if you do want it, it has to be done. You can't get it in October because a student got ill then. All right, so payment of bills, and we'll get into what they look like. As Mary Ann mentioned with the financial aid, no student is ever required to return for a future semester. You're only really on the hook for one semester at a time, so your tuition bill will reflect that. Your tuition bill is going to include the cost of tuition, fees, housing, meal plan, okay? And we'll show you what that looks like in a second. Again, you're going to get 2 bills a year for the traditional full-time undergraduate student. You're going to get one hopefully by like Thursday for the fall semester, and then you're going to get one right before Christmas as a little welcome, welcome to the new year present. Sorry, I got to do it. I got to give it to you at some point, and that'll be due early January. The one that's in the fall, I apologize, I didn't mention, is due August 1st. So generally, our policy is to get bills out at least 4 to 6 weeks before the the due date. Not necessarily the start of the semester, but the due date. So just as a point of reference for you guys, that's our goal. Good. Absolutely. So let's take a look at what the bill looks like. So this is our traditional bill. Remember up top we got mom and dad, and sometimes maidens say that. Have all the student information, and then you have all of your detail. So in this case of this kind of sample bill that we put together, you'll notice the first thing that we give you credit for is that deposit that you paid, the $500. All right. This bill actually, and we'll talk about tuition management systems more in detail in a second, but this bill assumed that the person had signed up for a monthly payment plan. All right, we'll talk about that. As you notice, they're doing $5,000 a semester because we've gotten one payment in July, and then at the bottom you notice we're anticipating $4,000 more. So this would be a family who's going to budget $5,000 through the payment plan, and we're always going to give you credit on the bill for all future payments that haven't been made yet, as long as you're current with your back payments. Go through here, you got your tuition, comprehensive fee. There are 2 fees that you'll see for the first time on the fall bill. One is the fall orientation, and just to minimize confusion, that is not what you're at now, right? This is summer. Fall is in September. I know no one needed me to tell them that, but we will get a lot of phone calls when the bills go out. Already paid for the orientation. You've paid for what you're here now. This is for the students' orientation that they go through. Remember, you drop them off on Friday. School doesn't start till Tuesday. We need something to keep them active for 3 or 4 days, considering they don't have cars. So we have an orientation program that they'll go through then. You've got your housing, and then this is one of the other one-time fees you'll see, which is dorm damage deposit. Say again? Oh, that was a question, sorry. $45 dorm damage deposit. We charge that the first semester. The student is in the dorm. Each year, now hopefully you got this information yesterday, each year Student Life will go through the dorms and they'll assess damage within the dorms. Anything that's not considered, normal wear and tear, taking walls down, putting holes in doors, that's not normal wear and tear. The students will build back for the actual damage that's in their dorm room, residence hall, sorry. What we do with this 45 is we actually hold it for the last semester the 8th semester, hopefully, not in my case, 14, but 8th semester, their senior year, we use that 45 to go against whatever they were assessed in that senior year. If they go through the senior year and there was no damage in their residence hall, or if they lived off campus, for example, we would refund this $45 to you during the summer after they graduate. And then, which is something that's a little new this year, we have on here a charge for the meal plan. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but for any of you that have had students that have gone here before or know anything about us, we haven't had a traditional meal plan at the university up until this year. We actually did way back in the 90s, way back in the 90s, right? But back 25 years ago or so. But this year we're bringing it back on campus, and we're going to have some more dialogue about that in a second. But you're going to see a charge for a meal plan. All of your students received an email, and some of them may have told you about this from me last week, explaining to them a little bit about the meal plan and the fact that they have a choice as to the meal plan they want to choose. All right, this bill just shows the standard minimum buy-in for a freshman, but there are choices that they can make, and they'll have between now and July 15th to make that choice. If a student doesn't choose, again, they're going to get what we have dubbed Meal Plan U, which is, if I remember correctly, 10 meals per week and $300 on their declining balance account. All right, so, but if they have gone on and they have chosen a different meal plan, that'll be reflected on your bill. And again, you'll have through July 15th to make that choice. And then, ma'am, I know it was a long way to get to your question, right? You see the financial aids on the bill. So any financial aid that is an approved status, by the time we send the bill out, will be reflected as a credit. And of course, adjust the balance owed. That doesn't mean that if you have other loans pending or if you have other aid in the mix, that will not be, reflected later. Again, we have to get the bill out at a certain point, so we just have to kind of get it out as it is now so that you have something to work with. But all throughout the summer, this bill will be adjusted, hopefully down to zero, or in a credit balance situation if you're getting loans that will cover above and beyond the cost of attendance, or the actual billable charges. And then we'll talk about what will happen with that later. Questions? All right, go ahead.
Could you please explain declining dollars to the carryover from semester?
Yeah, do you mind if I do that in about 10 minutes? And again, not that I know it's fresh in you guys' mind, but I'm like, if I get out of sync, I'm like all messed up. I'm just kidding. So let me just get to that in like 2 seconds, and we're going to explain all about the meal plans. We actually even have a couple gentlemen here from Parkhurst, who is our dining partner, who I'm going to bring up, and they're going to be able to talk to a little bit too. So I don't want to get too out of sync and have them jump up now. Go ahead.
Are scholarships also automatically reflected?
Yes, so again, when I use the word financial aid, and a lot of times I use grants and loans, but financial aid, yes, would include scholarships, whether it's institutional funded, right, through the merit-based program that they may have gotten at admittance, whether it's through a privately funded scholarship. Maybe they got $1,000 from the local, Knights of Columbus, and they're bringing that in with them. Any scholarships that they get, yes, would be reflected on here. Again, if we knew about it once the bill went out. So we've got the bill. We've talked about the charges. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm sorry, so if you're signed up with TMS payments, we'll receive 2 bills?
You'll receive a bill from Tuition Management Systems, and again, that depends on how you've set up to do the billing with them, because they do have an electronic billing process where they'll automatically debit your account each month. But yes, you would. Let me back up here. You're always going to get a bill from Tuition Management Systems, and you're going to get a one-time statement of charges from us, unless you haven't budgeted enough through Tuition Management Systems, and we'll talk about that. But Tuition Management Systems does not mandate that you do the entire out-of-pocket cost through them, right? You can budget whatever you want. It's more of a planning tool. So a lot of times parents will budget the exact amount they owe. Sometimes you're going to say, I'll do $1,000 a month through Tuition Management Systems, knowing that I'm going to owe the university maybe, say, $5,000, and I'll get a bill for $2,500 of that in August and a bill for $2,500 of that in January. Again, to us, it doesn't matter how or how much you budget through Tuition Management Systems. We're just going to reflect whatever you've contracted.
So through Tuition Management Systems, all of those comprehensive fees, like the joint deposit, the living, the meal, the this, the that, and the other thing, is all through Tuition Management Systems?
So I'm going to make sure I understand your question. Again, Tuition Management System doesn't necessarily...
I understand, but in the case that you are using Tuition Management System,
pay for everything.
minus like a
Then yes, what you would tell them, and again, typically what happens with tuition management systems, you tell them a number. Now they can help you get to that number, or you can call us and we can help you get to that number. So again, if you know your billable charges are $58,000, and you have a $20,000 scholarship, you want to budget $38,000 with them. Again, that's typically all that they are concerned about with, is just getting a number from you. They're going to then take that, divide it by 10, and you're going to make $3,800 payments each month. Go ahead. Sorry, what are you sorry about? Yeah. Okay. You're only going to get a bill that says the Parent Plus loan if you've applied and been approved and have gone through the Master Promissory Note information. Remember, Mary Ann talked about the Plus loan is something that we use as a gauge for you to be able to understand what your total eligibility left to borrow is, but you don't have to take advantage of the Plus loan if you don't want to. You can go straight to the alternative loan, or again, you can just pay us directly. Yeah. So then they wouldn't be on your bill. And again, this assumption here was... Oh yeah, it would be bigger. Yeah, it's a real big number. And it's like 26, help me out here, 26, 625? Well, again, our philosophy is, yeah, sure, our philosophy is August 1 is our due date, right? That's kind of a soft due date, if you will. Okay, move-in day in August is kind of the, we got to come to Jesus meeting, right? We got to get it figured out something, right? So if you don't have it paid by then, we're going to restrict your access into getting into the residence halls if you're a residential student. If you're a commuter student, we're going to restrict your access to start. ASAP. Yeah, as easy as that. Like, why wait? Get it done now. Because all you're going to do is hassle yourself, me, more importantly, and the student, most importantly. No, you can do it now. I mean, I'd have to, yeah, it's definitely ready now. I mean, again, yeah, and that's fine. And again, that's why you got like 6-7 weeks now to where you can get it straightened out. And again, like I said, the August 1 is kind of our due date. So for all you full payers out there, you just heard me say it right, you can delay the payment one time in the fall semester until move-in day. But again, we're going to be very accommodating with first-year students. We're going to work with you guys because as we know, this is your first time going through it. Maybe not, you may have had other students go through, but certainly here at Loyola. So we're going to work with you to get that process cleared out. We have to get everything cleared out before they move in at the end of August. So again, we talked about the tuition bill. Now let's talk about, we're just going to assume that this bill is set in stone. There's no more financial aid coming in. What do we do with the rest? As we mentioned, you've got a tuition management system plan built in here. So we're going to assume that you didn't want to budget the entire amount for the tuition management system. You only wanted to do this amount. So you've got a bill for $13,125. That's the fall semester tuition, housing, fees, meal plan, minus any approved financial aid, and your payment plan. So the $13,125 is not due out of pocket. All right, check is certainly one of the most popular. Heck, you can bring me cash if you want. Just don't bring in more than $10,000 increments. Right? I can only do $99999 at a time, else I got to report you to the FDIC. Probably a couple of the more traditional methods are paying the bill online. All right, that's become very popular over the last couple of years. Marianne talked about the parent access into WebAdvisor. All right, so WebAdvisor, as I mentioned earlier, is the tool that you use to take care of these administrative duties. If a student gives you access to WebAdvisor, right, you will get a username and a password. All right, and then you'll be able to go in and actually see a copy of your bill, their student account, and this is where you can make payments. All right, we have two options online. You can do an electronic check, which is free of charge to you guys, or you can use a credit card. Currently, right now, we only accept MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Visa, though, has changed their regulations and is in the process of now starting to allow higher ed and government entities to be able to charge a credit card and charge a convenience fee. Is one of the things I forgot to mention. Credit card, we do charge a 2.5% convenience fee. So I do apologize for that, but just want to make sure everyone understands. Oh, now they're leaving. It's all right, you can write us a check. Don't worry. But unfortunately, if you do use a credit card, you are assessed a 2.5% convenience fee, and it has to be done online. You can't call us and do a credit card. All right, we used to, in years back, used to be able to take credit cards over the phone. Since we've changed and have gone to a convenience fee model, you have to do it through WebAdvisor. So again, let's just say, for example, your son or daughter didn't give you access and they wanted to just kind of walk you through. This is what the student would see. All right, this is the login to Inside Loyola. Once you're in Inside Loyola, you'll see WebAdvisor on the side here. And then you can go and actually see, let me go back, I apologize. Under financial information, you'll have the ability to see a copy of the account. You can also do an e-bill, which will print a bill very similar to what you saw earlier. Once you've got all your numbers, you can proceed to the make a payment screen. Your payment type is going to dictate, and again, I apologize, these are just generic accounts here that we have, so hopefully you're not going to go in and try to make a credit balance payment of $64. But that would mean we owe you money, you don't make a payment. But you would select your payment type, and then you would go through the submission of the credit card information. This is actually, this is the e-check site. I'm sorry, the e-check form, but the credit card form is very similar. Obviously, it's asking you for credit data instead of checking and/or savings account data. All right. Up there, we see the convenience fee again. E-check, you're not going to see anything, but credit card, you would see 2.5% of the amount you're trying to charge added to your total, and then that's what your credit card's going to settle for. And you'll get a confirmation. Oh, here's the credit card. I knew David. Sorry. Here's your credit card submission form. And again, we hope by, I would suggest by the end of the academic year to be able to offer Visa as well. They're in the process of updating all the systems so that we can do that. And you'll get a confirmation.
Are the students learning how to use WebAdvisor?
Oh yes. Yeah, the students will use WebAdvisor all throughout their 4 years. I mean, they honestly could not be a student if they didn't use WebAdvisor.
But I mean, will they learn it like today or yesterday?
You know, they're going to get an introduction to it today because, again, that's where the registration process happens. You know, and they certainly know where it is and all its functionality. But really, when they get back here in September is when they'll start using it. Because, again, they're, in addition to financial aid and financial info, this is where they're seeing their grades. This is where they're registering for classes, two very important things. So they'll use this quite a bit.
It was really excessive to be able to know how to give us, allow us to see financial information before.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly promoting that now. Absolutely. And again, what we're asking you guys to do is to go back to the students and say, hey, I understand there's parent access, let's get it rolling. It's very, very simple.
There's a bit of a turnaround time that we have to allow for the new students?
Yeah, so for new students, if the parent is not in our system, we ask for a 3-day turnaround just to get the parent information updated into the system so that we can provide you with a username and a generic password.
Do they request the parent access right on this?
They do. So if I go back to WebAdvisor, and I don't think we actually have a screenshot of it, I apologize, because this was Dave was in as himself, not as a student. But under WebAdvisor, under, I think it is under, is Dave back? Help me out, Dave.
My slide has the tab.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a link underneath, and I believe it's underneath WebAdvisor. So the student has a student menu, and one of their menu choices, it says like registration, financial information, academic information, and then there's WebAdvisor for parents. And it's very simple. They just go in and tell us who they want to have access to it.
Under communication.
Say it again.
Communication. Under communication.
Is that where it was?
Yeah, Mike, it's going to be WebAdvisor, then communication.
Thank you. Have you already done it? No. All right.
And then select parents for WA access.
Yes. Thank you.
So, but you'll have it on one of the slides if you print the handout after.
So again, we talked about tuition management system, just going a little more detail. I know we got a lot into it earlier, but tuition management system, again, is an optional way to pay that out-of-pocket balance. You can budget any or all of your out-of-pocket costs through tuition management systems. They are a third-party company that works on our behalf. You pay them throughout the month, and then they transfer the money to us at the end of the month. Anybody who is current with their payment